Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Video Game Book Club, the Boss Rush Podcast monthly spoilercast and review discussion show about the games that you voted on. I am one of your hosts, PK Power Pack Klein, and alongside me is the boss of Boss Rush himself, Mr. Corey Derrick.
Oh, I'm first. Hello. I'm ready to megaton hammer this podcast.
Nice.
No, that makes sense. It's fine. I tried.
So, you're pretty excited about this one, right, Corey?
I am.
This was one that you were you put on specifically because you and our second guest here, this holds a really special memory, right?
I did want to play this again, yes, because it has been about, not to date this podcast or myself, a long time. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah,
a long time.
Well, speaking of a long time, here's my longtime co-host of the Spoilercast Book Club, Miss Stephanie Klimov, the Mad Pharmacist herself.
Hey, listen, this is a great game.
And now we will mute her for the rest of the podcast.
Hey, would you like me to repeat what I said again?
Yes, please, please
no.
tell me that...
shoot, I said yes, damn it. Why did you switch me?
Please tell me we need to go to Death Mountain when I'm standing inside Death Mountain.
Mm-hmm. And finally, we have a very, very special guest from us. We got the expertise of one of the hosts of the Zelda Universe. Please welcome Amanda VanHiel from the Zelda Universe. How are you doing, Amanda?
I'm doing great. I'm itchy because I was outside and got eaten up by skeeters, but other than that, doing all right.
Well, that's unfortunate.
That's what happens when you go outside.
I know, right? I was out there for 10 minutes practicing. I was like, because I've got my black belt eval tomorrow, and I was training and was out there for 10 minutes and got eaten. So apparently my kung fu skills don't work against mosquitoes.
Little too
Good
small.
luck and kick some butt. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, welcome. So today, because this is a very special podcast, we are going to be doing our book club on what is considered the most highest rated video game of all time. One that has sat on Metacritic at a 99% out of 100. We are talking about The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Originally coming out on the Nintendo 64 November 23rd, 1998. Some people who are listening to this may not have been born yet. But that's okay, because Nintendo has released it on every major console that they've had. But they also created a remake version on the Nintendo 3DS on June 19th, 2011. Both of them considered very highly rated. And like I said, this is this is the most highest rated game of all time. We're finally getting to it, guys.
It's crazy.
I know it's interesting that, I can understand why it is, but you think after all these years, there'd be at least one video game that could at least match 99? Not because I don't know, I want all games to succeed. And so you think that with all this technological advance, mocap, voice acting, better writing, whatever, and I'm like, no one. I don't know what the closest. What did Breath of the Wild get?
97.
So I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Like, that's a true classic right there. Holy crap!
Yeah. I think though, if you think about it too, like the time and place thing, like how many outlets were really reviewing games back then? You had like Game Informer, Game
That's
Pro.
a really good point.
Yeah.
Maybe N60 or IGN64.com was around at that point, but like you look at Metacritic today, there's hundreds of outlets on there now, as opposed to maybe 20, 25 back then.
Yeah,
Good
no,
point.
you're exactly right. I actually did look that up. Just kind of doing a little pre-research. There were 22 reviews for Ocarina of Time, and that's what gave it its 99. So if you think about it, nowadays it's mostly between like a AAA game gets about 50 to 100 reviewers put on Metacritic. I'm sure that if they aggregated that score today, we would probably be sitting somewhere about a 97 or a 96 as well.
Well, also when Ocarina came out, I mean, there weren't a lot of big epic games to compare it to, so it was unlike anything anybody had ever played before. So that could be something to really boost the score.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like the only games around that time that would maybe even compare would be like Super Mario 64 or maybe Final Fantasy 7 at the
Yeah,
time.
those three were Final Fantasy VII, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, and GoldenEye. Those were the four I would say most influential from that period, just because of like the gameplay mechanics that took place in those games. Has they've followed on and influenced all these future games,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
like Z targeting, things like that.
Yeah, and
Yep.
that's like the big thing I took away from this game because it's been I mean, I haven't played this since Majora's Mask came out. And so going back and kind of I love Wind Waker and I love Twilight Princess and um kind of revisiting this and seeing how like, oh man, I see where this came from, or I see where this part of Twilight Princess came from, or I see where this, style came from in Wind Waker. And it's like this game was so influential, whether you realize it or not, until you go back. It's
Yeah,
nuts.
100% agree with that. I mean, it is definitely argued that this is probably one of these Zelda games that has set the Zelda universe forward
Mhm.
uh, more than any of the other Zelda games out there.
Hmm.
Um,
And it's where the timeline splits.
Yeah.
Very, very true. But before we jump into that, I just want to do a little housekeeping here, get this out of the way. If you want to continue to support the Boss Rush podcast and the Boss Rush Network, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network at a tier that is right for you, earning such perks such as early ad-free access to this and other podcasts, exclusive access to our Spotlight interview access threads, voting rights on the video game book club, and more. That's patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. But as always, your listenership and viewership is always enough for us. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe and like and leave us a thumbs up and a comment. And if you're listening on a podcast service like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, consider leaving us a 5-star review or 5-star rating and review. Also, we have a ton of merchandise on our T Public with over 50 designs to rep your favorite shows and more. We just actually came out with a brand new Boss Rush Loves Indies Hearts Indies logo, which is very awesome and a very true statement for us because about half of what we cover is indies, especially on our
Half.
website.
I would say like
So,
80%.
yep. So please go ahead and check that out. And as always, you can check out all of our content, reviews, articles, and more at bossrush.net. All right, guys. Let's kind of give off our non-spoiler impressions for this very 25 plus year old game, and keep those spoilers to a minimum here for the first 10-15 minutes. Amanda, you are our guest, so please, what do you think of Ocarina of Time?
All right. So Ocarina of Time was my first Zelda game. It came out when I was 12, so like it hit me pretty hard. And I had been following the development in Nintendo Power for as long as it had been in development. And so I finally got it when it came out and pre-ordered it and all of that. And to me, playing it, I felt like it was my first time playing like a grown-up game, despite it being rated E for everyone. It was still felt like a grown-up game compared to games like Yoshi's Story and like Diddy Kong Racing, which were all a whole lot of fun, but they didn't have that same feel. And I just loved the adventure, and I still love the adventure
Mm-hmm.
and just the music and all the characters and just the exploration. And the cool thing about Ocarina of Time is it has areas in the world that you can just like hang out in, so to speak. Like I just loved just being in Lake Hylia
Mm-hmm.
and going to visit all the frogs and just riding around Hyrule Field.
Mm-hmm. No, it's I really do like the fact that like each area kind of has their own like little personality, whether it's the more adventurous feeling deserts or just the calmness of Lake Hylia. Like it did a lot of firsts, I feel, and like I think that's why it's always so memorable. Is just bringing back those feelings. Like, you remember the first time it became night on Hyrule Field, and just how freaky that was because all the skeletons just kept popping up, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Let me into the castle, please! Just lower that drawbridge."
Oh yeah.
Those are good times.
Yeah, and then
Steph,
like half the time, like a Poe would pop out, and you're like, ah, those skeleton, like those dry bones, pretty much looked like dry
Oh my
bones.
gosh. And then like when it gets later on and you meet this doesn't really spoilery the re-dead, like those
Mhm.
yeah,
zombie looking things. Those
Yeah,
gave me nightmares as a kid.
yeah,
the
and then
scream.
screen freezes.
Yeah, as soon as it screamed, and then like I played it when I first was playing it, my TV was going out, so it all had kind of a red tint, but I didn't realize it was having a red tint to it because it had just happened. And so all of a sudden everything's red, and then there's these zombies that are screaming at me, and I'm panicking, and I had nightmares, and I couldn't play it for a while.
Yeah, no, it's there were some dark moments in this game, especially towards the end in the Shadow Temple, but we'll get to that moment later.
Yeah.
Steph, what are your impressions on this game?
Um, I'll try to keep the cliche parts short because I do feel it was revolutionary for its time. Um, gave a great sense of adventure. But what I deeply connected with the most, and it reaffirmed it when I read The Psychology of Zelda, is and of all the links that I've played in Zelda games, this link I connect to the most. Link grew up as an orphan. I am not an orphan, but like I didn't have any brothers or sisters, and I always
Steph,
never felt like I
Steph,
belonged.
you are an
Yes.
orphan.
Oh, well, yes, technically. Um, yeah, so
Sorry.
I felt like no, I get it. Growing up as an outsider and like feeling that I'm not really accepted by my classmates. So like Link with, the kids in the forest. And then going up against this formidable enemy that you are literally too weak to handle, when Link draws his sword at Ganondorf when he's chasing after Princess Zelda and he blows the smithereens out of you, and then you have to grow up. And when Link's growing up, a lot of the stuff that he encounters in like cut scenes with Sheik is very bittersweet. He lost his best friend. His sworn brother is dead, question mark, whatever. Stuff like that. So even though the game is bright, colorful, and adventurous, it's this coming of age, like you gotta really grow and stand up for yourself. I mean, I'm not a big thing about Destiny. I know the game's about that, but it's just, every person's gotta again grow up and face your adversities. So I got really philosophical there, but that's kind of what I take out Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. And the other notes is I love the bosses and the temples. Again, for its time, I mean, some were pretty easy, like you throw a bomb in King Dodongo's mouth 3 times, but still, when I see Volvagia erupt from the volcano platform, or Bongo Bongo, or the final fight with Ganondorf that I won't go into, it all felt epic to me, and I really enjoyed the thrill of this epic fight against evil.
100% agree. Corey.
So my playing history with Ocarina of Time is a little bit more complicated than Amanda's or Stephanie's. I think I've told this story probably 100 times at this point on various shows over the last decade. But I when I first played Ocarina of Time, it was it was technically my second Zelda game, but my first like real attempt at playing a Zelda game. Link's Awakening being my first, and I was playing and I just was like trying to have fun and trying to figure it out. And like the puzzles were difficult because I never really played a game with puzzles, because up to that point it was like Mario 64. And then like going backwards, right, is anything with Mario or Ninja Turtles or, you know, go-karts or Disney characters in it was what I was playing, right? Because I was, a kid, a child, or Sonic or whatever. But like Amanda, this was like the first like real true, quote unquote grown up game I was playing. And like, I didn't really understand the rules or understand like oh, well, I have to go do this to, progress. Because in games like Mario, like you just kind of go to the end of the level and you win and you progress to the next level. And this was the first time it was like an open world with quests and objectives and things you had to do within the world to progress the story. And so once I figured that out, and I was having a really good time until I got to the Shadow Temple, and I didn't know you could go back in time. And so like it like really ruined the first experience for me, because I got stuck and I had no idea what to do. So I just stopped playing. And so I remember liking it up to that point, and then I saw a new one was coming out, which was Majora's Mask. And so I rented Majora's Mask, and I loved Majora's Mask. I don't know what it was about it. I don't know why like that game captured me at that time, especially now knowing what I know about how much I love roguelike games. You know, it really captured me. I was like, I need to go back and play Ocarina of Time. So I went back and started over and played, and I bought the guide for both games, and I ended up playing them back to back, and I ended up like really loving it to the point where like it was I guess it would have been Space World at that point, where like they showed the new Zelda game for GameCube, right? And it was in the Ocarina art style of Link fighting Ganon, but then we ended up getting Wind Waker. And uh but like I had become a fan at that point, and so I actually went back to Link's Awakening and finished that. But I actually have not played Ocarina all the way through since then. I tried several times on the 3DS when it came out. I made it to Adult Link, and I was like, cool. And then I just, for some reason, just stopped playing for one reason or another. Not because I wasn't enjoying myself. I just was probably distracted by several other things. And, um, so this was like a real great experience for me going back. And, has it aged as well as some of the other Zelda games? Maybe in some areas, yes, some areas, no. But, this is definitely like, this is the same feeling that people get when they play Final Fantasy VII again, right? Is like there's something truly. This is the beginning of something that's truly special in games that is very hard to replicate, especially when it comes to Nintendo. Like nobody does it like Nintendo, and this is that for them, right? I always look at Mario 64 as like the iconic Nintendo 64 game. But when you go back and I kind of like look at the catalog of N64 games, and like this is the one that stands out the most. This is the one that changed. Mario changed movement in a 3D space. Zelda changed games forever, right? So that's like, Mario walked so Link could run, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mario definitely, kind of set up the blueprints, I would say, that led to Zelda's success.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so my feelings on the game. I am older than all of you, and so I've started back on the very original Legend of Zelda. I remember watching my dad play this game when I was 5 years old, and like he was literally making maps of the dungeons, and I honestly I could not understand how Zelda worked. I just remember running around and trying to slash the monsters and not try to get blown up by the bombs or hurt by my own fire. Good old classic Zelda. But I have seen the Zelda franchise grow to Ocarina of Time, being the fifth in the series. And it was one that was very intriguing because of its switch into the 3D world. Um, and I would say, like, also with the additional story, like, this is the first one that kind of gave you, like, cutscenes and deeper impact of, like, who these characters are, because the platform allowed itself to do that. It's this was truly a magical game for me. In fact, I remember when this came out, we weren't getting our copy until Christmas. Unfortunately, that I knew it was a Christmas gift, but we weren't going to get it. However, one of my brother's friends was getting a copy too, and he allowed me to borrow it over the weekend because he was like out of town. And I remember literally just playing through that all that weekend. I got all the way through the water temple, and then like he came back for the weekend. It's like, I want to finish this game, and it's like, nope, you can't. You have to wait for your own copy to come in. So, but that, like, I was just so hooked into this game. Um, but it and then the 3DS version came out, and to me, I think I would have to say the 3DS version is definitely the more superior version of this game. A lot of it comes down to the controls. While this game worked on an N64 controller, playing it again on the Switch was like torture for my hand. Like trying to figure out which buttons did what, having a lot of the items be tied to the thumbstick like was very aggravating because I would be like trying to like shoot an arrow, but then all of a sudden my link just switches to a hook shot, and it's like that was not the direction I pushed. So like it's a little bit infuriating, and I think that's why I like the 3DS version. Also, the 3DS version's polished a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
the adult Link, like I watched again playing it on the Switch, and adult Link was just so scary looking when he first like showed up on the old N64 graphics. Like he just kind of old polygon and just like
Yeah. He also
I don't
kind of
know,
wobbles,
just
which is
he
funny
he
when he runs.
wobbles, and it's just that blank look that's in his eyes.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, it's really funny seeing adult Link run after you pull the sword out after you've been, Kid Link for so long, because Kid Link just kind of like moves forward with no like body movement. He just kind of like trudges along, but then like adult Link is kind of like, and you're like, that's new. That's different. Um help.
yeah.
I like what you're saying though about the controls are so much better on the 3DS, because I went back and played it again on the Switch and I got the N64 controller for it. And the whole time I'm going, how did I do this when I was 12?
Right.
How?
Also, yeah, like I think we're so used to like how wide the Switch is, or at least how controllers have felt since the GameCube days, right? They're just like this certain width, and you're used to like holding it like this, or maybe this if you're in handheld mode. But then like the N64 controller, you hold it in the middle, and your hands are like basically you're holding your own hands while you're trying to play this game. They're so close together, and it's like, yeah, who thought this was a good idea? Who designed this?
Hey, in the 90s, it was cool stuff.
Oh,
As long as it looked cool.
Miyamoto hiding in his smoking closet for way too long, I guess. I don't know.
But you know what? It's still a great game. Even going through this now for like the 10th time, and also 100%ing it again. It's it's still a lot of fun to play, even in today's like standard and today's graphics. It's the gameplay is still very solid for this game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely it definitely aged relatively well despite the controller and the tech of the time, right? I mean, I thought I was going to go into this like dreading playing this game because of my experience with Final Fantasy VII earlier this year was less than stellar, but I once I like got used to the Nintendo 64 controller again, I was like, okay, I think I'm good. This is all right.
All right, so we have a very special contributor here. I'd like to introduce Nico.
Hi.
Hi, Nico. How you doing tonight?
Good.
That's
So,
good.
Just a few
So,
sentences.
your mom
yeah,
says that you have some Zelda things you want to tell us about.
yeah, so if you want to know how to find lots of good treasures,
Just tell us
There's,
about
um,
what you think about Ocarina of Time.
you can find lots of treasures in the water temple, I'm sure.
Hmm.
There's lots of little cracks and holes, because at the same time, the water temple is kind of like a cave, just water inside it. That's one
is.
of the great areas you can find lots of treasure, like rubies, and you can sometimes find a purple one if you. Is there any merchants there? No.
Not in the water temple. What's your
Okay.
favorite temple?
My favorite temple? It's probably the. No ice temples. I forgot.
Well, there's the ice cavern.
Ice cavern.
Interesting.
Mini temple. It works.
Yeah, it has some
Give
cool.
it to
It
you.
has some cool puzzles in it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thanks. Bye. See you later.
Bye. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So, yep, there we have it. The best temple is the Ice Cavern.
Yep, you heard it here first.
Mhm.
That's why I got a 99 on Metacritic.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we're gonna get a
Guys.
bunch of 2-star reviews for that comment. Hey, he's just a kid, guys.
We
No,
didn't mention Elden Ring, so maybe not.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
As long
I
as
just
he,
did, I guess.
as long as he didn't say his favorite temple was the Water Temple, that would have given us the 1-star review.
And then somebody would inevitably be like, I don't know what you're talking about. The water temple's not hard at all. And it's like, okay, well, it
Yep.
was for others.
Finding
I was
that
gonna
one
be
key.
that person.
Anyways, all right. So we are going to the spoiler portion of this spoiler cast book club. So if you haven't played this game before, I highly recommend that you take your Ocarina of Time, you play the Song of Time, and you go back to a time when you can play this game before we continue on with this podcast.
I was looking to see if my ocarina was in here, but I don't know where it is.
So, with that said, we are continuing on with the spoiler cast.
Bah, 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 bah.
All right, like every great Zelda game, this game starts off with Link waking up from a deep slumber or something waking him up. In this case, it is a fairy that jumps up and down and says, "Hey, listen!" That's my Navi impression.
Don't forget about the great Deku Tree's Old English.
I mean, he
He
is
talks-
kind of old,
maybe.
so
I used the Great Deku Tree's Old English as an argument with my 7th grade literature teacher. I'm going, the Great Deku Tree speaks in Old English, which means that requires advanced reading comprehension, so that counts as reading. She didn't agree with me, but you know.
I think that argument's legit.
I had a lot of legit arguments about why getting to read Zelda things should count as schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried to play off my video game strategy guides counted as books. That didn't work.
Yeah, I got in trouble in class for reading this. Because I didn't want to read Little Women. I was like, I'm not reading this other crap. I want to read the Zelda book.
It's like, we're going to read about a book about a little man who becomes an older man.
A real man.
Exactly.
Yep. But before he did that, he had to become the boy without a fairy.
Aww.
Until he got a fairy. And then
they were all like, who's that?
Yeah.
That's right. So there really isn't too much. We hear the Deku Tree senses there's a great evil coming about, and that it's time for the Child of Destiny, Link, to take on his role as the hero of time. So he sends Navi to wake Link up. He does, and they go out and go to report to the Deku Tree. But there's kind of a snot-nosed brat that stands in the middle of the way. A snot-nosed brat by the name of Mito. The guy that you really just want to punch in the face, but the game doesn't allow you to punch him.
Nope.
Because you're in a village, and there's
no
you can only roll past him.
You can't even do that. He catches you because he's got that like semicircle arch.
I know, he's got that perfect semicircle sidestep.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you think you're going around him? No. In fact, I feel like if you had Mito as your goalkeeper in any soccer game, you'd keep the enemy, or you keep your opponent from ever scoring.
Yeah.
True fact.
Yeah. I'm at a point where I've played this game so many times, I don't go talk to him at all. It's a waste of time. So I just go straight to go get the Kokiri sword in the little crawl space, and the random moving boulder, the sentient boulder. And then I just run through the grass and pick up rocks and get my 40 rupees for the Deku shield, and then I'm good.
Yep. And that kind of pisses off Mito. Mito doesn't like the fact that now you have a sword, a shield, a fairy, we're summoned by the Deku tree, and have basically his biggest crush as your best friend. So, which we
Bad
didn't.
time.
Yep, we didn't
Bad
introduce
time for
that.
him.
So Link had a friend named Sarai, and she's got some major. You can feel she's got some hots for Link. You know, she's like, hey, this would be my future husband. You know, someday if I ever grew up and became anything more than the kid, because the Kokaris are they're basically little children for the rest of their lives. Their immortal existence.
They're like the Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But they're not all boys.
No, there's a few girls there too.
Yeah.
Link goes and visits the Deku tree, and the Deku tree is like, hey, you got a destiny, but first I kind of need you to go inside and take care of something for me. So can you climb into my mouth and we'll start your journey there. Not creepy at all. You know, giant tree just opens his mouth and you walk right into it.
Yeah.
Just like classic
He's got
Legend
that,
of Zelda.
he's got that
Yeah, I
mustache,
mean, I did that
too.
just a few days ago. Just a tree started talking to me. He's opened his mouth, and I just walked on in. Yeah, average day.
Yep.
Giant spiders, heart containers, money, spiders.
What I will say, though, just as a high-level overview of the Great Deku Tree, I feel it is a shining example of what a good first dungeon should feel like.
No, I would fully agree. The dungeon taught you the basics of like your combat. It taught you, how it's now got like multiple levels going on to it and like various rooms to find your treasure, and just kind of taught you some of the basic puzzle mechanics through this game.
Yeah.
So
it was like a tutorial without being a tutorial.
Yeah.
Except for the parts where Navi just immediately forces herself into any conversation. And I gotta say, those parts like really like they got to me, because it's like I would be almost in halfway through the middle of doing an action, and then all of a sudden she just bursts into conversation without you like pushing the up arrow, and it's like, what are you? I'm doing exactly what you're telling me that I was supposed to do. Why are you interrupting me? And then I'm no longer doing my action because of it. Also, it's kind of scary because her hey listen's kind of loud.
Yeah. It's just like I understand they want to give you a companion to help, and I guess this would be like the first time they actually kind of gave you one that you could interact with. But still, it's like every 5 seconds. I'm literally on my way to the place I'm supposed to go. Linear line, A to B. I'm like 3/4 of the way there. She's like, hey, listen. Yes. We should go to Death Mountain. I'm climbing Death Mountain right now. I literally just walked through Kakariko Village.
But hey, we should still do it. We should go to Death Mountain.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm going to go swim with the Zoras.
Can't tell me what to do. Until she can.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was definitely it introduced one of a very interesting mechanic. It wasn't really explored in like any game I could think of beforehand, but it was how the Deku sticks, were used to light torches going forward, like to grab fire from another torch and then start lighting other torches, because torch puzzles have been a thing in Zelda before, but you usually had a candle or some other means of fire. And then you also experimented. It's like, well, you can light torches with it. What else can you do with it? Oh, you can set spider webs on fire. Cool. And also taught you how to use your shield. And the fact that 21 is no
23 is number one.
23 is number one.
Yep.
It's a Michael Jordan reference.
That is true. I didn't think of that, but yes.
That's how I always remembered it.
Now about
Not
that
that two,
boss
three,
fight.
one is that hard to remember, but
Mm-hmm. That boss fight, huh?
yeah.
I like the cinematic of it. It
Mm-hmm.
was very well done for its time, even though, like, that's one of those three hit bosses. Actually, last time I fought her, I got her in two, so I was very excited. But I appreciate it for what Queenie was.
No, they brought back an iconic Zelda villain in a very different form. They brought back the Goma, who will continue to be in other forms through various Zelda games. Um, but yeah, it was very interesting. It was very clear what the weakness of the Goma was, the big glowing eyeball. But what was cool is that you could either just attack the eyeball like whenever it like presented itself before attacking you, or as you got better through the game you could see those moments when the Goma would actually flicker her eye to red, such as like climbing on the ceiling. You could then like shoot one of your slingshot seeds and like hit her and knock her down and therefore stunning her.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's cool. Like you could take the battle however you wanted. You could either try to speed run it, or you could just like take your time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, did
But
anyone try and shoot her eye when she was on the ceiling laying her eggs?
yep,
Yeah, nice.
yep, and she just falls right down, which is
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah. I spent my time trying to murder the eggs before they hatched.
There's something about the larva that like really creeped me out. I don't know if it's because they like can leap at you or they just have the I don't know what it is.
I think it's the fact that they're spider larvae and they're
Hmm.
chasing you.
They look like face huggers from the aliens, but with an eyeball.
When I was a child, that room before the boss fight where there are a few eggs in the ceiling, and if you take too long in the room, they'll fall down and hatch. I would try and book it through the room as soon as possible before the eggs could hatch, and I could hear it like almost like a ribbit sound as they're leaping towards you. And I'm like, I gotta get out of here! I gotta get out of here!
That's funny. So yeah, you finish the Goma and then you get out of the tree, and the tree gives you the special gem that apparently was holding back from a thief named Ganondorf, who wanted
Mhm.
this gem, but the tree said no, and so he cursed him with bugs.
Mhm. The
But
Gerudo
unfortunately,
thief, he says.
yep. Unfortunately, though, it was too late for the tree, and he
Aw.
withered, and the leaves fell, and he died.
Mhm.
I was
It gets
legitimately
real dark.
sad.
Mm-hmm.
Legitimately sad when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you run into your
And then
friend
the
Mito, who's like, "What
yeah,
the
he
hell
gets
did you just do?"
he gets mad at you. Real mad at you. Again.
Yep.
Or he stayed mad and it's just a new reason. I
I
don't
think
know.
he just
He seems
likes
like
to
a
be
really
mad.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he seems like a very disturbed boy. He needs I
Counseling.
don't know. He needs help. He needs a friend.
He needs hugs.
Yeah.
He needs Soraya hugs.
Mm.
Speaking of, is it Sarai or is it Saria? Have I been saying it wrong the whole time?
I've always said
I
Saria.
yeah, I've
Soraya
always
is
said Saria
Saria.
too, but who
It's never
knows?
like
Nintendo does
specified. I think that's one of
Yeah.
those. It's whatever you want to call it.
Well,
Is it
yeah.
Link? Is
speaking
it
of,
Lonk? Is it my guy or my dude?
mm,
Mm.
anyway,
Or
speaking
is
of,
Link.
it hey,
hey,
as
listen, yeah,
Navi would say?
Hmm.
we do run into
Yeah.
her on our way out of Kokiri Forest
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
before we
And he
start our
seems
grand
very
adventure.
he seems very confused, right? Because he like backs up. Like she's talking to him and he just kind of like stares at her and then he like backs up and runs away. Like
Runs away. I'm like, you jerk!
And
Just say
she gives
goodbye.
him the Ocarina, or the Ocarina
yeah.
too. It's like, here,
She's
here's
so
my
nice
most
and
precious
sweet.
treasure. And Link
And
just
he's
looks
like,
at it. It's like, eh.
okay,
If
I
I
gotta
were
be
her,
tough because the girl's talking to me.
Yeah. She's
mm,
so nice and sweet and giving, and he's just like a
Just
dork
silent.
about it. Yeah.
if I was her and he was running off with it, I'd be like, you're welcome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh, well, you know who's not silent? The next character that you run into. When you walk out of the forest, you run into our new favorite best friend as a kid Link, Kapora Gabora.
Chatterbox extraordinaire.
That's right. And
I think the most disturbing part is how he turns his head all the way upside down to talk to you.
Mhm.
It really
And then
bothers
his upside
me.
down head still also looks like a face.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Like a mustache.
Mhm.
It looks like the guy. It looks. I mean, I think this was a theory at one point, but the king in Skyward Sword, right? Like that's
Like
the
turns
the
into
owl.
him, or is it ascendant or something like that? Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that theory.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's even creepier though. Oh, I don't know.
Nah.
There's some Animorph stuff going on there.
Yeah, that means you watched the. That means you've seen the owl take a bath. Because there's that part in Skyward Sword where you can look through the bathroom and there's the king taking a bath.
gosh.
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have seen it.
There's a lot of weird things in the Skyward Sword game. That game took liberties.
We got Groose though.
Yeah, the Gruesinator.
See,
Groose on the
that
loose.
should have just been the Legend of Groose, because he was the most established character in that game.
He had such an intense character arc.
Yeah.
I need a
So
spin-off ASAP.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where's Groose of the Wild? Give me that.
Yep.
If World can have a spin-off, Groose can too.
Twilight
Echoes of
Groose.
Groose.
Yes. Groose's Awakening.
Ew!
Oh, okay.
Tears of the Groose.
Oh.
All right. Too bad he's not a character in this one. All right, so Link gets out of the forest. This is your first time in the open world of Hyrule. Like, what was your first impressions when you first came out into this gigantic world and told, "Hey, just go to the castle"? Did you want to explore? Did you want to go to the castle? Like, what did you guys want to do when you first came to this field?
I mean, I wanted to go straight to the castle, but I also know I was going to get lost because I get lost all the time.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm a story follower, and I'm afraid I'll get lost. But considering how that's considered small these days, in my child brain, that was a massive field. I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we never really saw anything like that before when that game came out. There weren't open world RPGs like there are now, I mean, that was big. So I ran to Lon Lon Ranch because I don't know.
It was
I felt
closer.
like I should go there. I felt compelled.
Felt
to
like a
find
safe hideout at night.
Yeah, I found the not Luigi farmer guy weird and compelling. I wanted to hang out with him.
Can I just say though, side note, I love that mini game. It's one of my favorite mini games. The finding the three crazy
Finding the chickens or the cuckoos?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cuckoos.
Yeah, I got really confused with fake Luigi because to me he was Luigi. And going, no, they're calling him the wrong name. That's not right.
Plus, he was so mean. It's like, Luigi isn't mean. Luigi's the nice brother.
That is
Mario's
true.
the mean one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah.
Mario was a jerk.
Yeah. Mario. The stardom went to his head.
Yeah, especially in Luigi's Mansion 3. Like, he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
Just pop up like, Luigi! And, scaring Luigi. It's like, come on, dude.
Like, dude, Luigi just saved everybody, and you're doing this?
Including you for a second time.
My son's having a conniption over there because he keeps whispering to me. He's like, no, Mario's the superior Mario brother. And I'm like, no, he's not. It's Luigi.
He hasn't.
We all know the real answer is Waluigi.
Oh, no.
He's number one.
Only created for Wario's tennis partner.
One day he might get his own game.
Yeah, where's my Waluigi of Time game?
All right. So you have that option to beeline it to the castle, and you get to do a little stealth mini game in the castle, which I remember the first time trying to do this, and it just I didn't know really what to do. I just wanted to just bolt right past all the guards, and sometimes you just could not do that. But it
nope.
I don't know. Apparently though it was successful enough that like almost every Zelda game after it has some sort of stealth part to it.
Oddly
Stealth
enough,
makes
yeah.
me so nervous. It always does. Like I just panic because I'm bad at it, and then I get nervous, and then I get even worse at it.
And then they put the rupees around the poles where he's walking around, and you're like, do I go for the rupees or do I just wait till he's on the other side of the pole and skip it?
I never get the rupees. I just want to go.
It's like, why
Yeah.
did you put the rupees there to begin with? Like, what's the
To
purpose?
So that you would be tempted to get it and then run, or so you can show off your mad skills and be like, check it out, I got the rupee and he didn't see me.
Yep.
I definitely do not have mad skills, so I just ran past him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I took that little path above him on the garden roof. So, but we then meet our titular character, Legend of Zelda herself, Princess Zelda.
Yes.
And side
Did you look
note,
through
in
the
this
windows and
area,
see the Mario paintings?
I did.
Yes.
and in the other window, if you shoot at it, a guard will yell at you and throw a bomb at you.
Really?
Yeah,
What? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
hmm
I did not know that. You taught me something, Steph.
Look at that. The more you know.
Yep. And so, you guys, acting as creepy little children, are staring through the window, looking at a guy who she says is the root of all evil. And,
Pretty rude.
yep, it is kind of rude, but, you know. Then he looks and you guys like, whoa, did he see you? That's okay. He doesn't know what you're doing. Little do we find out he does know what you're doing. Because he says he does. Later on. But anyways, she tells you, I want you to go on this quest to save Hyrule from this guy. I need you to get the 3 stones. You already have one of them. The next 2 are over there and over there. So go get them.
Yes. Video games.
Mm-hmm.
And then she writes a cute little letter to make sure you get access to Death Mountain. And then before you leave, you meet another franchise, well known in the franchise character, Sheik. Not Sheik. Oh my gosh. Not Sheik.
Impa.
Why did I just say Sheik? I need to go to bed, guys. Impa.
Yep.
I like this version of Impa.
Well, Impa's like of the Sheikah, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep. Just like Sheik of the Sheikah.
Yes.
Anyways.
Should have known.
Yeah.
That future spoiler.
Whoops.
And that was almost as big of a spoiler as the Final Fantasy VII one. But we'll get to that spoiler later. In the meantime, we're going to go to Kakaroo Village and do a bunch of side quests or find some chickens or explore a graveyard full of creepy Mario and Luigi ghosts as well. Did you notice that the ghosts look like Mario and Luigi?
I did not notice that, no.
Yep, the big brother and small little brother. Little brother looks like Luigi. Big brother was Mario.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you can get a few songs, a few other side quests, such as learning about the Gold Skulltulas.
Yep.
Those there's 100 of them to collect all around the world, and they're really only good up until 50. Anything above 50 is almost unnecessary in this game.
Yeah, I don't think I ever collected beyond that because I just didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Wow. Again, we went from 100 Skulltulas to 1,000 Koroks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't collected all 1,000 of those either.
Nope.
Corey, how was that journey?
It was awesome. I got my golden poo and it's still sitting in my inventory, you know? It's my pride and joy, that golden poo.
It's like a platinum trophy in the PlayStation world.
Yeah, it is. Don't be jealous, Pat.
I am actually very jealous. All right.
It was very hard because the last one I needed that I couldn't find was like the most obvious one that I missed, and it was one that because I had this big map, right, and I started marking them all off and be like, I got this one, and I marked one off that I didn't get, and it was like one that was laying like right in was just pick up this rock, one of those ones. It wasn't even one that was hidden. It was on the beach.
Man,
It was awful. I
was
felt
it
really
like right in
awful.
the center of the little circular like path, or the
No,
spiral
it
path?
was by there, but it wasn't that one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let me tell you, as someone who has gotten all 100, the prize for the 100th one is pointless by the time you get it. It is
What
just
is
a
it?
guy who gives you 200 rupees every time you see him.
That's awesome.
It is, but you have no use for money at that point. Your wallet has you probably have been full with 500 rupees since you got in the adult or the giant wallet.
I was going to say
It's
the
just
economy in Ocarina of Time is a little lopsided.
it's just good
Money's
to know
kind
it's
of,
there, Pat.
yep. Now, getting 50 gets you the heart container piece, which is, the third most important item in that whole side quest. I would say the first two being the wallets, especially the wallets. But anyways, you continue on to Death Mountain, where you meet a tribe that was actually just introduced for the first time in the Zelda universe in this game, the Gorons. And
Yay.
they're a nice little roly-poly group of rock people that, frankly, are starving because they don't have rocks around them, apparently.
They're so fun.
And
I
their
like the
food
noise
source
they
is
make.
blocked by a giant rock.
Yeah. And they always sound really like grumpy when they have to like wake up from their ball form. Yeah. And then they stand up and then you move slightly to the left and then they go back down when you're trying to talk to them and then they have to get up again. And then you got the one that's like rolling around the room the whole time.
Yep.
Oh, he's so annoying. You have to
I
like
know.
bomb him or whatever to get him to stop.
Yeah.
But you get a bomb bag.
I got my bomb bag. I got those little flower bombs too, and he just keeps rolling. He's
And then like he starts rolling again before you get a chance to actually talk to him.
yeah.
That's right. You gotta be quick. He was on a roll, so yeah. So the Goron's problem is that their food source is cut off because a giant rock, which they eat rocks, block the food source. And so you have to teach them that the bomb that's like right next to the rock you can pick up and you can toss and blow up the rock. Because they didn't have that knowledge. And they were going to starve to death. It's kind of sad. But I guess these are the creatures that have been living for thousands of years in the universe.
Yeah, well, they didn't have a giant
How did
rock
they just
blocking the
not
rock.
just roll down the hill and find rocks somewhere else? Like
because they only eat the rocks from that cave because they are spoiled. There's one of the Gorons on the pathway. If you talk to him, he said, "This rock is blocking the best rocks. Us Gorons are so spoiled that we literally can't eat any other rocks. We have to eat the rocks in that cave. And now there's a rock blocking that cave, and we're all starving." I was like, "Wow, privileged."
Yep. Well, you managed to get into the cave. You run into your next new boss, the Dodongo King.
What a fun boss.
It is. Dude, big.
Yeah, I love throwing the bombs in his mouth and watching him blow up. It's so fun.
yeah, I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos.
Yep. Even like just the medium-sized ones walking around, throwing the bomb and having them blow themselves up too. It's
Yeah,
fun
even though
stuff.
he was a 3-bomb chump, it was again a very cinematic and just massive. The scale that they had the camera at, it felt like you were going against a massive, massive dinosaur-like thing.
Yeah.
Sad way they killed it off though, like having it roll into the lava and you just watch it melt itself alive. It's like
Hey.
Nintendo got dark.
Yeah, if you think about it too, he was just kind of walking in circles down there, minding his own business.
Maybe he
Just
was
saying.
stuck. Maybe he was stuck.
Probably was.
Maybe he wanted out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a boulder blocking their cave. How were they going to get out?
Yeah. Maybe the Gorons are the real enemies here.
Yeah, the Gorons wipe out the Dodongos just so that they get their rocks.
Yeah.
I bet if they had asked nicely, they could have gotten that Dodongo to move the rock for them.
Yeah. There was a big enough crack in that rock for them to yell through and be like, "Hey, big Dodongo, move this rock for us. Thanks."
Yep. And we won't kill
I guess
you.
they're not so good with diplomacy.
Nope.
They're dumb. Gorons are morons.
That's what my son said.
It's morons.
But not in the way you think, because he came up to me, he's like, "Oh, is that Moron's Cave?" I'm like, "You mean Goron?" So he's kind of forgotten, switched consonants.
But it makes
No.
sense because the Gorons, they're so dumb when they can eat the rocks out of the cave. So that's why they should be just called morons instead
Yeah.
of Gorons.
Okay, we covered.
He's right.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep. All right. So
Maybe
now
find a new podcast host. He's got the insights.
there we do. So now we have become sworn brothers with Daruna, the chief, which Link doesn't know what that means, being their sworn brother, but he gets the stone, according to the directions. And then they're all going to give him a big old Goron hug.
I love it. It's a
And-
very cute scene. Hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I like when he starts patting Link, and he just knocks him flat. That was good humor. And then when they're all walking to hug him, in the zombie manner, and Link just runs away. And he runs himself to Zora's domain, where we run into the Zoras, who in the previous games have always tried to kill you, but these are now Sea Zoras, as the Hylians now refer to them, because now we have Sea Zoras and River Zoras, and River Zoras are the bad ones, but the Sea ones are the good ones.
Although it's funny because it's a lake.
Yep.
Right?
You know what? It's Nintendo.
Nintendo's running fast and loose with this lore here. Okay. They could tighten this up a little bit.
No, they can't.
I know.
So you run into the Zoras, and they're a little preoccupied right now because the princess has disappeared, and they want you, a person that cannot swim, to try and figure out where their princess went.
Wow.
Yes, and you have to play that mini game and get the rupees that are. I love the animation of jumping and diving into the waterfall. I don't know how this child magically learned how to dive a perfect swan dive down how many feet,
Despite living in a forest his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
but it was a quick mini game. Wasn't too hard. I don't think I've ever failed. Now I swear this has to be common because it happens every time I replay it. When you go back up and get your reward, which is a scale to help you dive, the angle goes up, and it makes him look like an alien. It's terrifying.
Yeah, for some reason, goes right. The camera goes right into the water and just looks up at Link. Yeah. So you get this skill, which allows you to now dive for 5 seconds into the water.
Jeez.
And you go into this little hole, appear out on the Lake Hylia side, and you find a bottle literally right there next to a Zora who can swim underwater, and apparently cannot find the bottle right next to the entrance of the secret passage. They had the note. It makes you wonder how these species actually survived.
Yeah, who knows?
For multiple generations.
Yeah.
But the note says, "Hey, I am, I'm in Lord Jabu Jabu's belly. Don't come find me,
no
or
biggie.
don't tell my father."
Don't tell my father. And what do?
You tell her father. And then he moves away from Lord Jabu Jabu's entrance in the slowest, weirdest old man kind of way.
Oink.
Oink.
I love it.
Oink.
See, we can all produce a sound on command. It's pretty amazing.
I just picture he's doing old man grunts. Ugh.
Ugh.
I can do this. Give me a minute here.
Is it disturbing to anybody else how tiny the king's legs are, but how large his body is? It's It's like a Incredibles character.
Yeah, maybe he just stopped using them and now they're just shriveling up.
I mean, we see the exact same like deformity in even Link Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Like he's got that gigantic body, but if you ever see him like get out of his pool, he's got the tiniest little legs.
It's very unsettling.
Yeah.
So you run into Lord Jabu Jabu, which is a giant fish, just somehow just lounging on this like little dais, and he's still alive, even though he's a fish, and he's not swimming.
And you need to feed this fish with a
Fish.
Yeah.
Yep. Cannibalism at its finest.
Mm.
Mhm.
To be
But
fair,
he
it's not the
doesn't-
same species of fish.
Yeah. Now, is Jabu Jabu, is he a whale or a fish? Like, is he a mammal or is he like
It's a whale
actual
and
fish?
fish.
I think he's a fish.
I think he's a fish too.
Let's find
I'd
out.
have to look at his back tail.
I mean, he doesn't look like the face does not look like a mammal. But yeah, we would have to look at the backside again.
Yeah, because like the back tail, if it's like this, then it's fishy. But if it's like this, then he's
Oh,
like
it is whale-like.
mammalian.
According to the Zelda wiki,
No.
King or Lord Jabu Jabu is a whale deity,
Oh, well, there you go.
the patron deity of the Zoras.
Does that mean the Zors are mammals too? Because the fins on their head are, the
I've
horizontal.
always
one?
wondered like what they're considered.
So
Do they lay eggs or do they have like? I imagine they.
It would be
That's
a
a
very
good
good question to
question.
ask because this is one of those
Okay.
times where
I have an answer for you.
Oh, okay.
The Zora lay eggs which hatch into tadpole-like young. Their eggs hatch 1 to 3 days after they are laid. That's
you know what?
very
That's
quick
Majora's
turnaround.
Mask. Remember?
Yeah.
Majora's
Oh,
Mask.
okay.
You had to find the eggs from the
Right.
pirates.
Right.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Makes so much scientific sense. A
Mhm.
mammal laying eggs and
So they're Perry the platypus. Got it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess that means Link could, I guess, theoretically have a relationship with either Midna or Ruto. Because I don't know.
Is Midna a fish? Midna's
Oh, do you mean Mifa?
Not Mifa, thank you.
Oh,
Mifa.
I was going to
I
say.
guess. I mean, there's a little bit of crossbreeding there, but
Mafia muffin?
Look,
I mean-
any slander against Midna is not acceptable on this podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
So,
I mean, she is the Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And if you don't like that, you can get out.
Yeah, Twilight Princess.
Doors
there
over
was
there.
definitely nothing going on between Link and Zelda. That one was strictly a platonic, like not even platonic. It's like they didn't even know.
They like barely. They were coworkers, barely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like email associates.
Yeah, it's like this person in another department.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you guys think of Lord Jabu Jabu as a dungeon?
Awful.
I have a harder time in Lord Jabu Jabu's dungeon than anything else in that entire game.
Yes. Carrying
Everything-
her around is a nightmare.
And the fact that everything is, electrified, and so you can't actually hurt them until you get the weapon in the dungeon, the boomerang.
Yeah.
Annoying.
The
And
problem
everything looks the same. And so I get lost really easily, both in games and in real life. So everything looks the same. And then like I couldn't get my boundaries. And so I kept falling down the wrong holes and like going through the wrong, I don't want to say doors because I don't know what those, going through the wrong flaps. And
the problem is like every time you drop her in the wrong area and she disappears, she goes back to the original spot where she was standing and not just like up on the ledge where you could easily just jump up and grab her again. You have to go backtrack. That was the worst part, I think.
although I will say good for Ruto. She knew what she wanted and she went for it and she got it.
Mm-hmm. She even got someone to do it for her.
It's true. That's a real princess.
That's right. So
I guess Zelda's making you grab her stones too. So
that is true. I will say though, I did enjoy
Okay.
the mini boss fight and the boss fight to this dungeon. I thought those were actually pretty cool. Like the giant Octorok who you had to poke in the butt
Mm.
was kind of fun.
Yeah, the spinning thing in the middle though did not help. I
No.
ran into the spikes a lot. I ran into the spikes quite a bit actually.
Yeah,
And
that was
an
pretty much
embarrassing
the main
amount.
source. You kind of had to. I mean, if you weren't like literally right next to the spikes, that thing was gonna get behind you very
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
But I did like the boss, the actual boss, the kind of heart-shaped
Oh, Baronade.
parasite.
Yeah.
And
That
then
was a
wiping
cool
out
one.
all the electric jellyfish.
Yeah.
It provided a decent challenge.
Yeah. A lot of different stages and mechanics to that boss too. Like it was definitely not like oh, you got to use this to do this. You know, I mean, like you had to use the boomerang to knock the electrified stuff off. But like,
Yep.
there was a lot of different elements to that boss fight.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
different stages. Cut the cords on the top. Fight the upper layer jellyfish. Fight the lower layer jellyfish, and then finally, use the boomerang to stun the creature.
Mhm.
It was a fun one.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Yep. And then, because you saved Princess Ruto, she decided to give you her engagement ring,
Mm.
which Link still did not understand what that meant.
The Zora ladies like Link. They're all asking him to marry him.
Mhm.
Yep.
Link, what are you doing?
It's like Daenerys like, you don't know what that means, but hey, we found all 3 spiritual stones. Bring them back to Zelda. Quick question, guys. If you had to pick one, what would be your favorite spiritual stone? What spiritual stone would you want?
Oh man.
I like the sapphire's design, but I
Mhm.
like the emerald in general.
Mm.
So maybe put the emerald color on the sapphire.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with the sapphire, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I would probably go with that too. Although Ruto's a little bit of I don't know, creeps me out. So I'm gonna have to go with the Saria stone.
Saria stone?
Yeah. Well, the
Kokiri
emerald.
emerald.
Sorry,
Mhm.
my
I
brain
like
is
Saria Stone.
yeah, yeah. See, Saria song,
Fine.
Her
Saria
I'm gonna
stones,
stone.
the
claim.
Deku trees.
I'm gonna claim the Goron's ruby then. That one's all mine.
All right.
You get to dance and have Goron hugs.
That's right.
I
And
mean,
eat
you just be
all the
partying the whole time.
eating
Yeah.
all the delicious rocks.
Hey Corey, the next time I see you next week, I'm gonna give you a Goron hug.
Oh no.
She's gonna become your sworn brother, Corey. You don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
So at this point of the game, you can either just hightail it to Hyrule and continue the story, or there's a whole bunch of little side quests that you can do at this point, ranging from the mask sales to fishing to upgrading all your arsenal. Like, did you guys do any of the mini games while I
I went
was playing?
fishing.
You went
I went
fishing?
fishing a lot.
Did you get that 10-pounder?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
Sure did.
I did
Gotta
the
get that 10-pounder.
bomb chew bowling, and then I got the like extra bag for the slingshot, so the shooting gallery for the slingshot. I wasn't as lucky with the bow and arrow. I just got impatient after failing 10 times.
I'm happy that the guy gives you a free shot if you at least get 8 of the 10 targets.
Mm.
Like that was helpful. Unlike that bomb chew bowling, I would say the bomb chew bowling was probably one of my least favorite mini games in this Zelda.
Yeah,
Mostly because of those stupid cuckoos that they put in there.
I remember that being a lot easier when I was younger. I'm not
Same.
gonna lie to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was rough. It was rough.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those that I'm going, how did I do this so easily when I was 12?
Yeah. Yeah. It was,
did you guys do the Mask of Truth side quest? No.
Not the first time I played it, but then like much later I did.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the only one I did was the yellow mask to the guard, just because that was the easiest one, and then I just had to beeline my way to the end because I was falling behind.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that a lot of these mini games in Zelda, like, they almost weren't worth it. Like the Gold Skulltulas, again, like after 50, it wasn't worth it. Trying to do the mask, you get the mask that then like allows you to talk to the stones. Cool, but yeah. So if we continue on to the story, we reached Hyrule Castle, but we noticed that the drawbridge is up, the skies get dark, and we get to witness the whole dream sequence that happened in the beginning of Zelda running away, being chased by big old Ganondorf.
Mm.
Ganondorf asks you
Yikes.
where Zelda went, and Link tries to be brave and draws his sword, and Ganondorf goes, he, and he zaps you and runs away, and what's that Navi's floating over in the moat area? You pick up, da-na-na-na, the Ocarina of Time, completely replacing your best friend's Ocarina.
Nowhere to be seen the rest of the game.
That's the game.
Did you just leave it in the lake in place of the Ocarina of Time? Did you just leave it there? Like, I mean,
You
what
can't.
happened?
Yeah,
Well,
if you
I
keep
know.
walking away, Navi's like, "Hey, you need to go back to the lake."
The least you
Get
could do
that
is
ocarina, or the ocarina that you were told to treasure forever and keep safe.
Yeah.
Like,
the least.
Yeah, but the other girl gave me a new one and I like it better.
Yeah.
It's like shinier or prettier.
Yeah. The least you could do is like give it back and be like, look.
I don't think it's gonna work between you and me. And this other girl's a princess, so
Yeah.
You're-
To save us the time and the trouble, I will bring your stuff back to you. Oh, I wish it was that easy.
Nope. It's got to be weird. It's got to be awkward.
Yep.
But
Usually some anger involved.
Mhm.
It's getting too real. Let's move on.
Yep. So you managed to get to the temple. You have all the keys necessary. You got the Ocarina of Time. You got the three gemstones, spiritual stones, and you got the Song of Time. So you can open up the door, get the stones to be right there on the pedestal, which back in the day I thought that was kind of cool. Like just the shiny stones that were just like spinning around there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Temple of Time is a cool area.
Yeah.
Very
Good
majestic.
song. Yep. Majestic, big. And home of the Master Sword, which plays a really nasty trick on you. You get the sword then zaps you away, and Ganondorf reveals his plan that it's like, hey, I kept an eye on you and kind of figured that you would do exactly what I wanted you to do, gather the stones and open up this door. So I'm going into the spirit realm. You're trapped in the spirit realm for good old 7 years until some old man wakes you up and tells you, hey, don't be alarmed. Some time has passed. I, measured you up, got you some nice clothes.
Changed you.
Changed you,
I
bathed
watched you while you were sleeping.
for 7 whole
7
years
in my chambers.
Don't worry, nothing weird happened. Here is my light medallion.
Is that also an engagement ring?
He adds his
everyone wants.
power to yours.
I mean, almost every sage had some sort of romantic feelings towards Link in this. So
Almost.
it might have been.
Ocarina of Time, the game where everyone's thirsty for Link.
Yep.
No matter how old he is.
Or no matter what he doesn't say. Maybe that's it. Maybe just being silent is the charisma that all
Every
the
woman's
people of
perfect
Hyrule
man
want.
silent.
So he sends you on that journey. He's like, okay, you need to wake up 5 more sages so that we can seal Ganon back into their seal Ganon into the Sacred Realm, which it's kind of no. I guess they're in the Sacred Realm right now.
Yeah.
So I guess
Well,
they need him.
Ganondorf's now out and about, but we want to seal him back in there.
Yeah. So he sends you out, and that's where you now meet the mysterious Sheik of the Sheikah. And
Who could this mysterious Sheikah be?
That's right. This blonde, mysterious stranger who just happens to know the history and has this beautiful harp that is always just playing you these songs that allow you to teleport. Finally, we get a quick, a fast travel method here.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's like they say the most important fast travel, like
Wait, hold on,
the second to last. I would consider the village.
Yeah.
Nikolai says that he knows a very, very important twist to the story.
Ooh.
Yeah, because Sheik, once you see Sheik, past in the game times, Sheik is actually disguised as Zelda.
What?
What? No.
What?
It
No.
is.
No way.
It's true.
It's true? Wow.
Yeah, sorry, he was elbowing me. He's like, do they know? Do they know? I'm like, I don't know, you tell them.
We do now.
It's been spoiled for y'all.
Oh, no.
At least you now know it.
But yeah, no, I like the fast travel. It made sense finally what those big random pads were all over the game. First time I played it and I was running, I was a kid. I'm like, what is this? Is this like an alien landing platform? Like, what is this? Anyone have a favorite song? My favorite non-travel song, I think, is Saria's song. And my favorite travel song is between the Serenade of Water or whatever the Shadow Temple was. I'm just blanking on it. Nocturne of Shadow.
I like Serenade of Water a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of like the Prelude to Light.
Mm-hmm. I like that one
too.
Nikolai's favorite is the Song of Time. That's a good one.
It's a very useful
song. Can't forget
song.
about the Song of Storms.
It's my jam. Really, my jam is Gerudo Valley, but you know, you don't get to play that one.
I mean, that's the jam.
That is the I'm gonna be shaking my butt song.
Yeah, that's the jam. Gerudo Valley.
I also like the Song of Storms.
I don't want Nintendo to strike us. Got to stop my, on key Gerudo theme song.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, so we're directed first to the Forest Temple, and we can't. Well, first we have to get a item to get into the Forest Temple, which is in Kakarot Village.
Mm-hmm.
We find out that our good old friend, the Gravekeeper Dampy, well, he dead, but he still wants to have fun in the afterlife, and so he gives you this really horrible race course that you have to go through, and says
race course where he throws fire at you.
And it's random where he freaking throws it too. Like, it's never the same place, and it always almost aims to be right in your path. It's annoying as heck, especially if you're trying to get all the hard pieces, because then you have to go through that whole thing in less than a minute. Yeah, that was kind of annoying, but you beat his if you survive his race, you get the hook shot, one of the coolest items in the game. And now you can go to the Forest Temple, and you find out that your friend Sarai, she's not there anymore. She's actually in the temple, and she's trapped there, and it's up to her hero Link to rescue her.
I love the design of this temple.
This is my favorite temple, and I love just like the music's just kind of like haunting sounding.
I was gonna say it definitely. Oof.
It's got that abandoned castle in the woods motif going on, and it's like it's overgrown. It's got enough like creepiness going on with like the twisty paths and your introduction to the wall masters.
Oh, I don't like them.
Oh, man. They're always creepy, but
I scream every single time. Like every time I get picked up, I scream.
Yeah. And
I like the four Poe sister get up. Two of them are in paintings that you need to shoot arrows at. Arrows are your weapon that you find in there. And
mhm.
then one's a puzzle. Granted, it's not a hard puzzle at all, but whatever. And the last one is, makes duplicates of herself and you have to shoot the right one. So I just, very fun puzzles.
Yep. No, and it's also very simple to know which one is the right one because she does the little twirl.
Hmm.
She gives herself away every freaking time. You think she'd learn after the first like 3 times she does it? No. And then you get to meet the real boss, and probably one of my favorite bosses in the game, the Phantom Ganon.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
tennis time.
I love this room first of all, like just the whole like tower and the painting surrounding it, and you're on the platform. And I love the mechanics of how he jumps through the paintings in the first go
Yeah,
with the
it's like a
horse.
teleportation
But
item.
then you got, like Amanda says, he goes into his second stage, which is teaching you a mechanic that you're going to need to learn very fast if you want to have a chance against both this boss and the very final boss.
Yeah, so I think that was great game design wise, and also thematically too, because it's a representation of your ultimate villain. But I don't know about you guys, but I felt that this version was actually, when I say more difficult, I'm not saying it was so hard, but if I were to pick which one's easier, I felt like this was more difficult than Ganondorf's, because if the Phantom can be like up or down, and if he's too low to the
Mhm.
ground when he hits the thing at you, you hit back and it misses. I don't know. I just
Yeah, he moves around sometimes when you're trying to knock it back. Where the final battle, he's always in the center. He's not moving there.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, this was a fun fight. You find out, unfortunately, that was just his phantom, not the real Ganon himself. But you managed to save your best friend. It's a little bittersweet.
Like,
She,
sorry, it's just not going to work out between the two of us.
yep.
And I lost your ocarina. So
And you're Kokari. I'm a Hylian. You're eternally a child, and that's illegal, even in Hylian laws.
and of
So
course you
it,
got to go be like a sage and all that. And I
mm,
just our career paths are going in different places.
mm. And I'm also engaged to a fish girl, so
Oh, a lot of problems.
Yep. So she gives him the medallion, the force medallion, and then they split their ways, never to see each other again. And we're told to go then to the mountain and prevent the mountain from erupting. It is kind of cool seeing the fire ring, around
Hmm.
Death Mountain, especially the first time when you get out of the temple. I thought that
Yes.
was pretty neat. Like it adds that sense of like danger
Hmm.
and like impending doom for the city or the
Yeah.
town of Kakarot. So you go up to the mountain. You find out that all the Gorons, the moron Gorons, have been captured by. Wait, how were they captured by the dragon?
I
Ganon
think
must have captured
Ganondorf
them.
kidnapped them and then imprisoned them, getting ready to feed it to the
Okay,
dragon.
that's right. So Ganon captured the entire village except for Daruna and Daruna's son, Link the Goron.
Just rolling around in a circle.
Yep, because he's upset and you have to lay a bomb so that you stop him. But you manage to stop him. He's like, "Thank you for stopping me. Here is a fireproof tunic. Go save my dad."
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep. So you go into the forest, or you go into the fire temple. And this is probably one of my. I really like the design of the fire temple.
Hmm.
It's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I always love the fire levels, the whole lava, just the heat, like flames are rising everywhere. But I like the mechanic that every key was locked behind a Goron. I don't know. It was kind of cool. It made it feel like you were on a rescue mission than just a typical dungeon crawl.
Hmm.
Right. My kiddo said this one is his favorite dungeon, and I do like it. There's definitely a lot of height to the dungeon. The only parts I didn't like, and it's purely because of me, it's a me problem. There's two places in there where you're walking on a very narrow or curved path, way above something else. And because of the way I'm holding the controller and moving the control, I've fallen down several times and missed the Megaton hammer timing because of like sometimes it's hard to move in narrow bridges.
Especially when you're timed, because
Times.
yep,
And flying keys are dive bombing you.
Mm-hmm.
those fiery little rats with wings,
Mm. Yep,
so annoying.
they're the worst.
Also, you get introduced to likes.
Oh no, yeah, I
Ooh,
forgot.
favorite.
Yeah, Ugh.
Yeah, classic
What is
enemy that if you get eaten by them and you're in them for too long, you lose equipment, whether it
Yeah.
be a tunic or a shield. Something's
Eat your
gonna.
clothes.
Mm,
Yep, and then you magically come out with your other clothes.
hmm
Don't know how that happens, but it
Maybe
does.
you layer it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it makes sense for like, well, I mean, it makes sense for the water one, but that is a lot of layers for a volcano. I don't know.
mm.
I feel like that would be hot.
Yeah, but it's the same reason why people wear like jeans out in the desert, right? Because to protect your skin from the heat, not to like, you know, oh, it's so hot, I gotta wear shorts. No, you gotta protect yourself from that sun.
Hmm.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe, yeah, I can see that logic.
What do you guys think of the mini boss?
The fire dancer.
Mm-hmm.
I learned something on this very last playthrough. If you have the hammer, all you have to do is hammer the ground, and he loses his form.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All this time, I've never realized that.
You
I've always
didn't?
I've always done the hookshot method.
Mm-hmm.
So
Look
And
at
the
that.
hook
More
shot.
than one ways to kill a mini boss.
I don't know.
The hook shot's a
Just-
game changer. Love the
Mhm.
It
hook
really
shot.
I love
is.
the hook shot. I love it
Bring
so
back
much.
hook shot.
It's the
Yeah.
best.
I love it when I loved like the Twilight Princess and the Skyward Sword when you get two of them and you just hook shot and hook shot and hook shot,
Mm-hmm.
just traversing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool.
That's why Twilight Princess is the best.
It is. Amanda, we're gonna have to ask you, what is your favorite Zelda game?
This is hard. For the longest time, I always said it was Ocarina, and then I went with Breath of the Wild, and then I went with Tears of the Kingdom. So now I go back and forth between Tears of the Kingdom and Wind Waker. Just, I feel like as I've gotten older, I really like Wind Waker.
Interesting. That's cool.
But I do really enjoy Twilight Princess.
Yep. No. I think Corey and I are both Twilight Princess guys, and Steph, it's Ocarina, right?
It's Ocarina, although like the more I say it, I'm wondering if I'm just saying it to be stubborn and refusing to like anything else. Breath of the Wild really, it was something. But no, I'm gonna probably still say Ocarina.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we fight a dragon using a giant hammer, and we play Whack a Dragon with that hammer. The dragon's head would pop out of one of 9 holes, and then you just smack it.
Mm-hmm.
Whack-a-mole, I love it.
Whack a mole.
Nice.
But what would you
Yep.
do in between when Volvagia is flying up and around, either breathing fire or dropping stones? Because I cheated and I just clipped the edge and just waited.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I just kind of.
I just ran around in
Circle.
circles. That's what I always do in every boss fight ever, is I just run around in circles.
Yeah. I was just running. Just run away.
Yep.
When in doubt, run. It's my method.
All right. So with that done, we now move on to the Zora's Domain. We get to hit Nico's favorite dungeon.
Ice Cavern.
That's right. It's a cool dungeon, literally, where you push ice blocks and you use blue flames to melt red ice.
Yep.
Yeah, those moving, freezing guys were annoying though.
Yep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the ice clees.
Yeah. They can go
Those
away.
two. But you get
But
the
who cares
boots.
about?
Oh,
Who
sorry.
cares about the ice cavern when you got the iron boots to go down to the water temple?
Yep. A lot of people say that the water temple is their least favorite, mostly because it revolved around finding these keys that are very well hidden. Um, but I honestly did not think the water temple was that bad.
I didn't have any problem with it the first time I played it, and then when I went back and played it later, then I could not do the water temple to save my life. And again, I just get lost really easily, so I can't remember which doors I've been through.
Yeah. No, it's definitely easier when you have a guide. That way you only have to change the water levels, like a full cycle twice.
Yeah, and I ended up changing it like half a million times because I'm going, I can't remember what I did it at, and now I'm lost again. And yeah.
Yep. But this level, like, while it's controversial, probably does have one of the coolest mid boss fights in the entire game. You get to fight a shadow of Link himself on this interesting like island inside the dungeon.
Yeah, it's a
All right,
beautiful concept.
Hmm.
who did what to take this guy down? Because I was not talented, and I Dins fired him to death.
I used the big Goron sword.
Yeah,
I just sucked really badly.
did not finish. No, I used a combination between the big Goron sword and Din's fire.
I didn't have the big Goron sword yet when I played it.
Yeah. No, it's the big Goron sword is a life changer, especially for that fight, because all you really do is just push forward and like attack, and you just like push like you fence. You just thrust the sword at him, and he
Yeah,
misses it for some reason.
yeah. I would use Den's fire to like start doing damage, and then while it was like expanding, I would just run up and start, you know, doing the sword thing.
Yeah. So after that fight, then you fight a kind of a dumb-looking boss, Morpha, the the little cell inside a giant lake of slime.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not kind of an anticlimactic boss for that dungeon, but
Yeah.
oh well.
Not impressive,
Not
but
a,
if it does grab you, like you have to be completely negligent to let it grab you. But if it does, Morpha does take a lot of hearts away from you. I allowed it once because I was curious, and I'm like, holy!
Yep, spins you around the room and finally tosses you into the corner.
yep.
Yep. All right. Next is the dungeon path that scarred me as a kid. Like
Oh,
this is my least favorite dungeon. Definitely Corey's least favorite dungeon. And it got dark. Like the Shadow Temple and
Mm-hmm.
the well beneath the village. And
With the
all the
friendly
blood.
dead hand.
Yep, the dead hands and the blood and the torture racks. And it's like, what the heck was going on in this town?
see, this is what I don't understand. This is rated E, and they had them color change Ganondorf's dying breath from red to green, but yet you kept everything from beneath the well. There were, like you said, torture devices like the Iron X. I'm like, are you
Hmm.
serious?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No,
Wait
there
a
was.
Yeah, no,
minute.
I don't notice this. Yeah.
Well, Temple of Doom was also rated PG, so
Yeah, that was the movie that gave me my first nightmare.
yeah. What
But
you don't like some crazy guy ripping your heart out while it catches on fire and you're about to burn to your death?
well, being slowly lowered to lava and the
Yeah.
lighting, just the guy's wide eyes. Ah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I literally had that was the first movie that gave me nightmares. The second movie that gave me nightmares was Terminator.
I've never seen
Ooh.
Terminator, so I can't tell you.
Terminator was up there, but I think my first was either between Chucky or Aliens from Outer Space.
Hmm.
I honestly don't know because I had frequent night terrors as a little kid, so I really don't know what it would have been.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
To be fair, I had nightmares about Winnie the Pooh, so
Hey, those heffalumps and woozles.
that's what it
Oh
was.
gosh, that was
Chasing me up and down the hallway. Creepy,
freaky.
man.
Just like the Re-Dead. trying to eat your head.
Essentially, yes. The Heffalumps and Woozles are the Redead of the Disney universe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, you go through the well, you get yourself that Eye of Truth, which is heavily needed for the Shadow Dungeon, Corey.
Yep.
Just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there's a lot of things that you can't see or need to see using that Eye of Truth
Mm-hmm.
that can help make your journey through that temple a lot easier.
Yeah. Thanks, Pat.
You're welcome. Just giving you some friendly tips.
I hate you.
So funny thing about the Eye of Truth, since it uses like magic, so you don't want to like use it for too long. And I've been playing Persona 5 Royal, and you can use like the third eye technique so you can see everything. And I keep wanting to only use it for a short amount of time, going, I don't want to use up all my magic. Oh wait, I don't have to worry about that. Never mind.
Yeah. No, that was another thing I hated about this dungeon was the necessary use of the Eye of Truth and the draining of the magic bar. It's like I don't have potions to bring my magic back up because all my bottles were fairies. I needed
Yep.
the fairies.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't waste my time with potions.
Yeah.
That's right. But you get through this really creepy dungeon. I mean, it has some cool things like the boat that goes through and
That boat's so cool.
yep, and the cavern like after the boat where you had to like launch an arrow into the bombs to drop the pillar. That was pretty awesome. But then you finally meet one of my least favorite bosses in the game, the Bongo Bongo.
Bongo,
Aw,
bongo, bongo, I don't want to leave the Congo.
he's one of my favorite bosses. I don't know why.
I
I
love
mean,
Bongo Bongo. He drives me crazy, but he's just funny to me.
His name is
it's a
Bongo
cool,
Bongo.
yeah, it's a cool concept. Like you're on a drum and his hands are like constantly hitting it, so it's making you like jump up into the air. But like if you were a horrible aim with arrows, like this fight was like supernaturally hard for you. Like it's just unreal just how difficult it can get.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also the fact that you need the Eye of Truth so that you can, keep an eye on Bongo Bongo when he decides to, run across the stage so that you can actually hit him. And at first,
Dude,
I always was trying to hit him with arrows, and it's like, why am I missing? Like, or no, I wasn't hitting him with arrows. I was hitting him with my sword. I tried to hit him with my sword every time he ran, and I kept missing every time because for some stupid reason, Navi was not latching on to Bongo
Oh,
Bongo. So I'm like, well, maybe I can't latch on to Bongo Bongo. No, it's just Navi being stupid. But you finally beat Bongo Bongo, and you get the Shadow medallion from Impa. We forgot about Daruna and his fire medallion, and Ruto and her calling off the engagement because she's a sage now.
Oh,
shucks.
Yep.
darn.
But you can have the water medallion.
he's broken up with 2 girls in the course of this game.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry though, he's gonna find a third girl, one that makes
Oh
him
yeah.
a promise when he's a kid. That's how
Oh,
creepy it gets.
ewy, ewy, ewy.
And that third girl is Naburo in the Gerudo Desert. So the
Mhm.
final journey, you have to go into the Gerudo Fortress to save some woodcutters because they decided they all wanted to be thieves in a all-female village.
Full of thieves.
Yep. And
Yeah.
it turns out that these women don't really like men too much, so they captured them all, and so you have to go around and sneak through this village and save them without getting caught. Or you just keep getting thrown into a jail cell over and over again and over again. This time I almost made it through the entire base without being detected. I got to the last fight and I did a jump slash,
Mm.
just missed, and then the Gerudo guard did a jump slash and she did not miss. And I was like, ah, almost went through the entire round without ever getting caught and thrown into the jail. But
That jail, man.
mm-hmm.
It's creepy.
You think they'd close the window after like the first time you escaped.
You would think.
But no. So then you become an honorary Gerudo because you have the mad skills of a thief. They send you off into the desert where you're in a temple that you can't literally get through because one path is blocked by a giant rock. The other path is only the size of a kid can crawl through. So it's a cool mechanic where now you get to go through this dungeon as both a young Link and an adult Link. And as young Link, you run into Nabaru, and she says, "Hey, I need you to get these gauntlets for me. If you do so, I will do something really nice for you." We don't know what it is yet. We assume she's just going to give us treasure or something.
Yeah,
But
of course.
mhm,
Yeah, take you out for some ice cream.
yep, good old desert ice cream. Maybe even make you an honorary Gerudo thief as a kid. Who knows? But you go through the dungeon. You get to fight the Dark Knot for the very first time in this
I mean,
Zelda
Iron Knuckle.
universe. The Iron Knuckle. Thank you. Dark Knot is no, it's Dark Knot now for the rest of the series. Not
Or afterwards, yeah. I think isn't that the time it was only time it was called the Iron Knuckle.
Iron Knuckle was also Zelda 2.
Okay,
Yes,
these are
that
fun.
gem of a
I
game.
like.
Then it was Dark Knot in Wind Waker going forward. But
I
yeah.
like fighting the Iron Knuckle.
Mm-hmm.
When's
Yeah,
the Wind
Iron
Waker
Knuckle's
book club?
maybe next year sometime.
Aw.
But or maybe when it becomes more accessible again.
What, you didn't buy a Wii U, Pat?
I had a Wii U. I gave it to my friend, and then he moved to Utah.
I got the Wind Waker version of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wanted that, but I already had one, so I just bought a Zelda sticker and slapped it on my Wii U.
You know what? That works.
Yeah.
You saved a lot of money that way.
Did. Sticker was $4.
All right, so you fought the dark Iron Knuckle. You got the silver gloves, but then we hear a scream and we see Nabaru get captured by the twin Rova witches.
Ome and Kotake.
Thank you. I was trying to remember both
That's all
what
right.
the
And they
second name
were
was.
sucking Naburu down into the desert butthole.
Yep.
Oh, that's an image.
But we run into our friend Kapora Gabora for the last time.
As soon as you see him, it's lecture time.
It's like, hey, I didn't realize you could travel through time. Good for you.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever a point where you saw the owl and you just ran the other direction because you knew he was going to stop you and talk to you?
Yes.
Yeah. I did that a couple times. I'm like, I don't want to deal with you right now. Let me
Sadly,
go
you
bomb
had
this
to talk.
rock and get
The
these
owl
booties.
is like the Jiminy Cricket of Zelda. Like, as soon as you see him, you know you're about to get a lecture.
Yeah.
Yep. And then he's gonna trick you by switching the yes and no positions.
Oh my gosh.
Why would you do that? Anyways, now we go as Adult Link. We can use the gauntlets to get to the other half of the dungeon where we get the really cool mirror shield and we get to see really awesome light mechanics, like unseen in any other video game up until this point. Now we
Super
have ray
cool.
tracing, and this would be like the ray tracing of the 64 era.
Yeah. I need my 120 frames 4K ray tracing Ocarina. Where's that at?
Why? That's maybe Switch 2. I don't know.
Mm.
But as adults, you finally go and you run into the witches and you get to fight them. And this is actually a really cool boss fight. One of the cool ones.
Ooh, and before that, you are told to fight a dark nut, but
yeah.
it's not a. Dark. See, now calling me that Iron Knuckle. Iron Knuckle. And what is underneath this Iron Knuckle? Not air, but Naboo.
Mm-hmm. And she gets captured again because you know.
Shocker.
Yep, she's still useful apparently. Then you get to fight the witches.
Yeah.
And the first part's kind of hard because you have to redirect one witch power to the other, and almost all the time the second witch is nowhere in your camera sight when you're trying to redirect it. But if you manage to do that 4 times, you can finally get into the real battle where they merge into a really a busty witch who gives Link the look.
Right?
And Link's like, ah!
Interesting.
And then you get to do the whole shoot the magic back at her, depending on which one that she uses. Then
She
it was
also makes an uncomfortable sound when you hit her with the sword.
yeah, it's a very suggestive character from Nintendo. But it's a really cool death sequence once you finally beat Twinrova, and the witches are like, okay, we're gonna fight again, but then they have the halos like appear at the head, and they start arguing their ages and like we're twins, stop lying, and then they just go up they fly up to heaven like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And
Great
then you question, why
banter.
are they going to heaven?
Doesn't matter. It all exists.
Okay. But we saved Nabru, and she gives us that little uncomfortable thing after she gives you the medallion. Man, if I knew you were going to become such a handsome guy, I would have kept my promise.
Right.
Like, wow, so what was your promise? Exactly.
Yeah.
What were you promising this 10-year-old boy?
This feels very there should probably be an adult around for this.
Poor Link, like, he skipped puberty and then all of a sudden has all these women after him.
Mm-hmm.
Link just doesn't understand.
Nope, he's completely oblivious to love.
But he definitely knows his mission. Because you make a rainbow with all those medallions as a bridge to the final dungeon, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ganon's
Cool.
castle.
The really cool, really awesome flying castle over a chasm of deep, dark abyss magic and below it. Ganondorf's castle or Ganon's tower. Either one. But this is also like one of my favorite dungeons, just because this is my favorite Ganon level of all time because I liked the elemental themed rooms. It was a very straightforward dungeon, so it wasn't hard to get lost, or it was hard to get lost, but it was a nice little challenge, a nice little like throwback to each of the main dungeons that you went through. And then you finally get to climb up the tower, which unfortunately in my Switch version, it was a very dark tower. Like the brightness, since you couldn't adjust the brightness levels of the actual Switch game, fortunately came up as really dark. But you finally get to the top of the tower, and you see the big boy himself playing his own theme song on an organ. He's got longer hair now.
Man.
Yep. Long hair, and he's like, hey, I let you do this because I knew you were going to, find Zelda. I knew you were going to get all the medallions and bring the Triforce to me. So, congratulations. I played you again, twice in a row, once as a kid, now as an adult. And his whole goal was to bring them all together so that he could recombine the Triforce, because there was an old legend. The legend said that the person who touches the Triforce has to have the three principal powers in equal balance. Otherwise, the Triforce is going to split, and then it's going to become a treasure hunt to get all the pieces back together again. So that was Ganon's plan, and so now you get to play the real tennis match with him. And this is both kind of a fun battle, but also can get really annoying when he starts destroying floors.
Yep. With his extra charge attack, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what
he slams into the ground every now and then.
You're right. Yeah, that too.
And then you start losing platforms you can stand on, and his tennis matches could go on for quite a while too. Like I tried to see if there's any like tactics to always get him to like miss. Like what if you hit it like a half second earlier, does it like catch him off guard? And it really honestly didn't. Um
He's too good.
yeah. I do like it when you do lower his energy levels down, he does that powerful charge attack. Like cuz then you can actually charge your own sword and like throw everything right back to him. And I thought that was like a really cool like almost finisher move.
Hey, did everyone's frame rate creep to almost a halt whenever you shot Ganondorf with a light arrow?
Yep.
I'm like trying to run. It's like,
It's so funny. This game ran it ran really well for like some of the time it felt like it was running at like a smooth 60 frames a second, and then like anytime there would be a battle, it would be like, oh well, it's like 30-ish. But yeah, this was like in the teens. Sometimes I was like, oh my gosh, is my game freezing? Like, am I gonna have to like start over? But no, it's just Nintendo 64.
Yep.
So
Well, how about you, Amanda? What do you think of this battle?
I liked it. I think it's really cool. I had a hard time with it for some reason. I don't know why. Like, and it's another one of those, like, the first time I played it, I didn't have a hard time with it, and then I did. So clearly something's wrong with me as I'm aging.
Well, I know one of the problems is you had to use the light arrow.
Yeah.
And the light arrow took a lot of magic. And if you're one of those people who only puts fairies in their bottle, it was hard to recover magic. You only had a certain amount of pots down in the bottom to get that. And if you lost it, then you were screwed for the rest of the battle. But if you win, he gives off this last like yell. He coughs up some blood. Red if you're playing the 64 version, green if you're playing the 3DS version. And he then dies.
And yells, "Curse you!"
Yep.
Last time I played it, I named my character Daddy because I thought it'd be funny. So that at the very end, he goes, "Curse you, Daddy!"
Father issues.
Oh.
That was the whole motivation for his Triforce. Yes.
I hit that by accident.
Oh.
But it's okay. I can introduce the next portion where, Zelda reunites with Link, but then all of a sudden the building starts shaking. Oh no, it can't be the end. And you have to have a quick escape timed sequence, which I think the time was very forgiving. And the only time I ever was super nervous was when they decided to add a Redead there. I'm like, no.
Oh, the Redead was always on the bridge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I still didn't like it.
Yeah, it's strange because the Redeads Link did not have adult Link did not have a problem with the Redeads. Like you had a whole freaking town of them, and like you could just go up and slash them without Link like freezing up. But all of a sudden, the one Redead in Ganon's castle, Link freezes up on. It's like makes no sense.
It's perfect sense, Pat. It's the end of the game. Tension.
I guess.
You're tired.
You are tired. The whole castle's falling on top of you, and then a zombie just magically pops up on a bridge. I suppose that can be scary.
Yeah.
You're trying to look cool for the girl, and then the zombie shows up and throws you off.
Yeah.
Yep. But you managed to, run past the Redead finally, get up out of the castle, and watch it literally just collapse on itself in layers.
In layers, yeah.
Yep.
Didn't make a lot of sense, but the sound effects were like satisfying. It was like, doom, doom, doom. And then again, oh, Link, you're blah, 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 blah. And then you hear something moving in the distance, in the rubble. Yep. And Ganondorf pops out and his dreadlocks are floating, or whatever his hair, just floating up in the air, and his eyes are all glowy, and he ain't right. Why is he right?
He's panting hard. And he turns into Ganon.
This was a scary looking boss, and it was a dark area, which I'm glad they made the tail all like rainbow colored or whatever it was.
Yeah.
No. Even to like this day, this is probably one of my favorite final bosses of all time
Mhm.
because you had such dramatic music playing on the background. You had the ring of fire literally surrounding you in the castle rubble. You had lightning just flashing in the sky. Just, it it was so dramatic. And
Mhm.
it's like battle just gives me goosebumps every single time I face it. It's just so fun. It's an easy battle, but it's like you could just have so much fun with it. Like, do you want to like be the badass and just like sidestep Ganon and always attack his tail? Do you want to be like the cool hero and like shoot the arrow in his face and then go and hit his tail? Like, what do you use for the weapon when he knocks the Master Sword out of your hand? Do you go for the big
Megaton
Goron
hammer.
hammer, the Megaton hammer,
That's
or
what I did.
Yeah.
I used the big Goron sword,
Mm.
but it's like you can play this battle however you really want to, and it's just so dramatic and so fun. I mean, what
Pretty
do you
good.
guys think of this?
It's
I
a pretty good battle that like makes you feel like you're about to save the world without it. It wasn't super difficult, but also like satisfying at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those like you feel cool when you're doing it battles.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, victory lap battle. Although there have been an occasion or two in my earlier years where I did get low on health just because I was being stupid and arrogant. And I like how, you can have them knock down some rubble and then you might get lucky and get hearts. Or you might get magic meter, more magic, which I also really needed. So um, may be on the easier side, but it was very epic. It felt epic. And then the money shot when, Zelda holds him down with a beam of light and you freaking stab him right in the face.
Mm.
Right in the face.
Right in the
Right
face.
through the nose, right
Mm.
through his little wobbly nose. Seriously, that nose was like jello.
It was
I
weird. Why
don't
they
I
give it
don't
the
ever want
physics
to
of
hear that
it
comparison again.
again.
Oh no.
uh, no, it. I mean, this was like classic Ganondorf too, or Ganon. Like, I feel like a lot of the battles after in later games just have lost the magic because they wanted to kill more with the Ganondorf fight than versus his original pig demon self.
Mhm.
So we need more pig demon Ganons.
We
Yeah.
Not gonna
might be
lie.
getting one in a few weeks.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm excited. Almost
Me too.
as almost as excited as all the sages were when they finally banished Ganon to the sacred realm.
Yeah.
And we get cursed.
Mm.
Yep. And then apparently one of three things have happened, which splits the timeline, even though this game does not give you that option.
Nope. You go see Zelda and the screen just says the end. And you just watch them stare into each other's eyes until you turn the power off or you reset the game or
Right? I actually found that very annoying. I'm like, wait, why isn't it doing anything?
yeah, I thought my game froze like originally when I first beat it like 30 years ago. I'm like,
Yep.
wait, that's it? What's happening?
Mhm.
Thought it broke.
Yeah.
Did not.
It was a cool credit sequence, so I did enjoy the kind of the peaceful looks of the various areas again.
The celebrations, even though some people are sad, like Mido and the King Zora, just to show that, with everything in life, there's always going to be some losses when it comes to stuff like that.
Hmm.
Mido's just sad because Link's the hero and not him.
Yeah.
That is
Mm.
true.
Yeah. Mido's sadness has nothing to do with the outcome of the Ganon fight. He's just a sad boy.
He found
Can I
out that
say
he wasn't the hero; he was the side character.
Mm.
Can I say one thing that I'm sad about? And I guess it makes sense because every time you reboot the game after, it's always right before the Ganondorf fight. It's never post game.
Hmm.
I would always run back to Zora's domain and see if it unfroze because it's supposed to unfreeze after the water temple when you defeat the boss. That's the cause of the frozenness, but it was still frozen.
I
I
was
mean,
disappointed on that too. I'm like, no, it needs to thaw out.
the fountain area thaws out, just not the village.
Mm.
Maybe it just didn't get enough sunlight.
That is true.
Maybe they're just destined to be frozen.
Yep. And that is why they moved to the seas and became Sea Zora.
Mm.
Even though
Maybe
there's
that's
no
the origin
sea
story.
anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys.
We did it.
The
Yay!
kingdom has been saved once again by Link in a story that we call The Legend of Zelda.
Good game.
It is. Can everyone share at least just one of the most memorable parts that you've played?
I mean, I really like I don't know if this is a cop out or not, but like the first time you pull the sword out of the stone, right? Like it's just so like the whole animation, the music build up, and then the camera pans up and you just see the light kind of swirl around Link as like he pulls it out, and it's just that moment is really iconic, and like it's been iconic in memory for so long, but to actually like watch it for the first time in however many years is just a really kind of cool and special moment, because there's not really anything like it in Zeldas that come after. I mean, there's really not. I mean, there's cool moments in other Zelda games, but like this is such an iconic moment where the game literally changes into a new game essentially. Uh, and so, yeah, I mean that's really iconic. And then, like Pat said, walking out of the temple when you become Link, adult Link, for the first time and seeing, the skies are dark and you see the fire ring above Death Mountain, and you're like, whoa. And that's like your real first hint that the world has changed, right? Instantly, the world has changed. So
I think a moment for me was meeting Zelda as a kid for the first time. Because so much of the time in games, it's like you save the princess and you don't really get to see her until the very end. Or, she might have a little thing at the very beginning, but you don't like have any interactions with her outside of very beginning and the very end. But just to be able to talk with her and just like, here's this important royal figure and she's just talking to me. And I thought that was a really cool thing.
Yeah. And making her like a real part of the story too, and not just some, damsel in distress was really, I mean, there wasn't really anything really like it before that. I mean, I guess, Metroid and, there were games that focused on female characters that were, not princesses, but like making taking that stereotype of a princess and making them, kind of the hero of the story and being a major part of the story was really something different at the time. So,
yeah, it's the first time we actually got to see Zelda use power in any Zelda game. So, I would say my favorite parts were I like how after every dungeon, after every like temple, you saw the world like fixing itself, whether it be like the fire ring disappears from the mountain or the lake fills back up with water. Like it's like nature is finally correcting itself once you like clear up the evil, making Hyrule not as threatening of a place that it used to be. You were making a difference.
Yeah. There are various ones that I categorize, like the stab in the face is the most epic moment for me. One of the more tender moments, most tender moments for me is when you awaken Saria as a sage, and when you leave, you say Saria will always be your friend, and that hits me in the feels because I'm not very lucky in the friendship department. But what I like are various moments is what Link with Sheik, because Sheik always has some weird, wise thing to say, but it actually is really deep. And I always they're very meditative. Right before I go start a dungeon, I have something to think about.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for making it through this episode. It actually went a lot longer than we initially thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Pat, what are you doing?
I don't know. Somehow we made a game without a story just last 2 hours here.
Yeah, we had a lot to say.
A lot of good memories. But I want to thank everyone for listening and or watching the Boss Rush Video Game Book Club, part of the Boss Rush Network podcast and the Boss Rush Network. And if you enjoyed our discussions, please do subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast application. You can support us over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Any tier grants you early access to the show, and follow us on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Network. Amanda, thank
Yes.
you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Where can our listeners find you at?
Well, you can find me talk more about Zelda on the YouTube channel Zelda Universe TV. And then you can find me on socials at Amanda VanHiel, where I talk about video games and my cats and coasters a lot. And also on Twitch. I haven't streamed in a long time. I'm trying to get back into it because I had to redo a bunch of my equipment. But my Twitch channel is Panda Princessa, and I play just all sorts of stuff there.
Nice. Do you have anything big coming up with Echoes of Wisdom?
I mean, going to PAX West and getting to play it there is going to be really cool. And then Echoes of Wisdom, I'm of course going to stream the game and then probably do a preview video just talking about like what all we know so far and what we can expect and all that fun stuff.
Exciting. That's awesome. Well, Corey, Stephanie, Amanda, thank you so much. Thank you guys for all watching and listening. And until the next Boss Rush Book Club, which we will be talking about Dead Space, we will see you then.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.